Right now, while you're watching this, there's a quiet revolution happening in how wealth is being redistributed. And here's what's interesting. The people positioned to benefit aren't panicking about inflation, market crashes, or financial resets. They're not glued to the news waiting for the next disaster. They're thinking differently. And I don't mean they have access to some secret information you don't. I mean their brains are literally wired to process reality in a way that most people will never understand. Today I'm going to reverse engineer that mindset and show you the 7 mental frameworks that separate those who build empires from those who watch empires being built. Stay with me, because what I'm about to share will completely change how you see money, opportunity, and your own potential. Let me tell you something nobody wants to admit. We're reliving through one of the greatest wealth transfers in human history. But here's the part that'll make you uncomfortable. This isn't happening to people. It's happening because of people. Because of how they think. In 2008, while the average person was losing their home, a small group was buying real estate at 30 cents on the dollar. In 2020, while people were panic selling their stocks, another group was calmly accumulating assets. The same crisis, same information, completely different outcomes. What's the difference? It's not intelligence. Some of the smartest people I know are broke. It's not education. I've met Ivy League graduates drowning in debt and high school dropouts running 8-figure businesses. It's not even luck, though. People love to tell themselves that story because it requires zero accountability. The difference is mental architecture. How you process information. How you respond to uncertainty. How you make decisions when everyone around you is losing their minds. Think about it like this. 2 people witness the exact same event. A market crash. One person sees catastrophe. The other sees a clearance sale. Same event. Different lens. Different outcome. And here's what's wild. This isn't genetic. This isn't something you're born with. This is learned. Which means if you're willing to do the uncomfortable work of rewiring how you think, you can develop the same mental frameworks that the top 1% use every single day. But first, you need to understand what you're up against. Most people operate from a scarcity mindset without even realizing it. They see the economy as a pie that's being divided up, and their goal is to grab their slice before it's gone. Elite thinkers see the economy as an infinite game where they can literally create new pies. Most people think short-term because they're trapped in survival mode. Elite thinkers can afford to think long-term because they've built systems that handle survival automatically. Most people make emotional decisions and then rationalize them with logic. Elite thinkers do the opposite. They make logical decisions and manage their emotions separately. Now, I'm not saying elite thinkers are better people. Some of them are terrible human beings, but they've mastered something specific, the ability to separate their feelings from their strategy, and that single skill is worth more than any college degree you could ever get. So let's break down exactly how they do it. Here's a question that'll reveal everything about your financial future. What's your time horizon? When the average person thinks about investing, they're thinking about next quarter. Maybe next year if they're disciplined. Elite thinkers are operating on 10, 20, 30-year timelines, and that difference in perspective creates a completely different reality. Warren Buffett has a famous quote, "The stock market is a device for transferring money from the impatient to the patient." But this goes way deeper than just investing. This is about life strategy. When everyone's panicking about a recession, elite thinkers are asking, what will this look like in 5 years? When everyone's chasing the hot new cryptocurrency, elite thinkers are asking, will this still exist in a decade? They're not smarter, they're just zoomed out. And here's the secret. When you extend your time horizon, you automatically make better decisions. You stop chasing shiny objects. You stop panic selling. You stop making desperate moves that benefit other people at your expense. Think about the last financial decision you made. Was it based on where you'll be in 6 months or 6 years? That answer tells you everything. Next, elite thinkers understand something fundamental. All profit comes from knowing something other people don't know yet. Not insider trading. Not illegal information. Just being ahead of the curve. They read different books. They're in different rooms. They're having different conversations. While the average person is scrolling TikTok, they're studying quarterly earnings reports. While the average person is watching reality TV, they're attending industry conferences. And here's what's interesting. They don't hoard this information. They share it freely within their circles because they know something else. Information without action is worthless. Most people could have the exact same information and still do nothing with it. The question isn't what do rich people know that I don't. The question is, am I willing to do what it takes to find out and then actually act on it? Because here's the uncomfortable truth. The information is out there. It's publicly available. But it's buried under layers of noise, and most people aren't willing to dig. Elite thinkers dig. They read the 1OK filings. They track policy changes. They notice patterns months before they become obvious. And by the time the average person catches on, they're already positioned. This isn't magic. This is discipline. Here's where people get it twisted. They think rich people are bigger risk takers. They're not. They're better risk calculators. There is a massive difference between betting everything on black at a roulette table and investing in an asset after you've done 100 hours of research. Both involve risk. Only one involves intelligence. Elite thinkers don't avoid risk. They quantify it. They ask, what's the downside? What's the upside? What's the probability of each? And can I survive if I'm wrong? That last question is crucial. Can I survive if I'm wrong? Because the biggest secret about wealth building is this: you only have to be right once or twice if you do want to eliminate yourself by being catastrophically wrong. Most people gamble with money they can't afford to lose. Elite thinkers only risk money that wouldn't destroy them if it disappeared. That emotional detachment allows them to think clearly while everyone else is drowning in anxiety. And here's the part that'll blow your mind. Once you master this framework, you start seeing opportunities everywhere. Because you're not paralyzed by fear and you're not blinded by greed. You're just calmly calculating probabilities and acting accordingly. Let me tell you the most expensive mistake broke people make. They only network when they need something. They lose their job, then they update their LinkedIn, their business is failing. Then they reach out to potential partners. They need money, then they try to build relationships with investors. Elite thinkers do the exact opposite. They build relationships when they don't need anything. They add value to people's lives with zero expectation of return. They plant seeds knowing they might not harvest for years. Why? Because they understand that your network is your net worth isn't just a catchy phrase. It's a literal equation. The deals you get access to, the information you receive early, the opportunities that come your way, all of it flows through relationships, and relationships take time to build. Think about it. If someone you barely know calls you asking for a favor, what's your first instinct? Probably hesitation. But if someone who's been adding value to your life for years asks for the same favor, you're looking for ways to help. Elite thinkers are always depositing into the relationship bank. They make introductions, they share resources, they celebrate other people's wins. And they do it consistently, not because they're calculating every transaction, but because they know abundance flows through generosity. Here's your action item. Identify 3 people you admire and figure out how to add value to their lives this week without asking for anything in return. Not eventually, this week. This next framework is what separates the players from the pretenders. Poor people see money as emotional. It represents security, status, self-worth, identity. When they lose money, they're losing a piece of themselves. When they make money, they feel like they're winning at life. Elite thinkers see money as a tool. Nothing more, nothing less. It's not good or bad. It's not a reflection of their character. It's just a resource that can be deployed strategically to create specific outcomes. And this emotional detachment unlocks superhuman decision-making abilities. When you're not emotionally attached to money, you can walk away from bad deals. You can let sunk costs go. You can make decisions based on logic instead of ego. Here's a test. Imagine you invested $10,000 in something and it's clearly failing. Do you double down because you can't accept the loss? Or do you cut it loose and redeploy that capital somewhere better? Most people double down. Elite thinkers cut losses fast and let winners run. Why? Because they're not attached to being right. They're attached to getting the best outcome. And sometimes the best outcome means admitting you were wrong and moving on. This framework alone will save you more money than any investment strategy I could teach you. Now, elite thinkers live in multiple timelines simultaneously. They have a plan for if things go better than expected. They have a plan for if things go exactly as expected, and they have a plan for if everything goes to hell. Most people have one plan. I hope this works out. That's not a plan, that's a prayer. When you operate with multiple scenarios mapped out, you're never caught off guard. Market crashes. You knew it was possible and you're already positioned to an expected opportunity. You have capital reserve to deploy. Personal emergency. You've got systems in place. This is why elite thinkers seem calm during chaos. Not because they're delusional or disconnected, because they already wargamed this scenario months ago. Here's how you implement this. For every major decision, ask yourself 3 questions. What's the best case scenario and how do I maximize it? What's the most likely scenario and how do I optimize for it? What's the worst case scenario and how do I survive it? If you can't answer all 3, you're not ready to make the move. And here's the beautiful part. Once you start thinking this way, you stop being a victim of circumstances, because you've already thought through the circumstances and prepared accordingly. This next framework is the one nobody talks about because elite thinkers actively hide it. There's a reason you don't see Warren Buffett tweeting about every stock he buys. There's a reason the wealthiest families in the world aren't posting their strategies on social media. There's a reason the smartest investors you've never heard of stay quiet. Strategic silence is a weapon. When you broadcast your plans, you invite resistance. You invite competition. You invite people to tell you why it won't work. You invite energy vampires to drain your focus. Elite thinkers move in silence. They execute first and explain later. And by the time everyone figures out what they did, it's already done. Now, I'm not saying you should never share anything. I'm saying you should be incredibly selective about what you share, when you share it, and who you share it with. Your biggest ideas deserve protection. Not from theft, because ideas are cheap. From dilution, from doubt. From the 1,000 small cuts of other people's opinions. Think about this. Every time you tell someone your plan, you're getting a small dopamine hit. Your brain registers it as if you already accomplished a thing. That's why people who talk about their goals all the time rarely achieve them. They've already received the reward. Elite thinkers delay gratification. They stay quiet, do the work, and let results speak. Here, S, a personal challenge. Pick one goal you have and do UNT. Tell anyone about it for 90 days. Just execute. See how different it feels when you're not performing for an audience. Alright, so we've covered the 7 frameworks, but here's where most people fail. They consume information and do nothing with it. So let me give you 3 concrete actions you can take this week to start rewiring your brain for elite-level thinking. First, audit your time horizon. Pull out your phone right now and look at your recent decisions, your purchases, your investments, your career moves. Ask yourself honestly, was I thinking about next month or next decade? If most of your decisions are short-term, you're trapped in survival mode, and you'll never build wealth from survival mode. You need to create enough breathing room to think long-term. How? Start with one decision. 1. Find one area where you can extend your time horizon from months to years. Maybe it's your career development. Maybe it's a relationship. Maybe it's a skill you're building. Commit to optimizing that one thing for a 5-year outcome instead of a 5-month outcome. Watch how different your choices become. Second, create your information edge. Here's a simple formula. Pick one industry or asset class you're interested in and become the most informed person in your friend group about it. Not the most informed person in the world, just in your immediate circle. How to spend 30 minutes every single day for the next 90 days consuming information about that one thing. Read the industry publications. Follow the thought leaders. Study the history. Track the trends. In 90 days, you'll know more than 95% of people. In a year, you'll start seeing opportunities they can't see. That's your information edge. And here's the secret. You don't need to be an expert in everything. You just need to be an expert in one thing, and then you leverage that expertise into opportunities. Third, build your scenario maps. Take your 3 biggest current goals and map out the 3 scenarios for each. Best case, likely case, worst case. Be specific. Don't just write things go well. Write exactly what well looks like. What numbers, what timeline, what resources needed. Then do the same for the worst case. And here's the key. For the worst case, write down your survival strategy. How will you recover? What's your plan B? This exercise will do 2 things. It'll reveal which goals you actually believe in, and it'll eliminate the anxiety that comes from not knowing what you'd do if things go wrong. Because once you know your worst case scenario and you have a plan for it, you stop being afraid. And fearless execution beats anxious hesitation every single time. Look, I'm going to be real with you. Everything I just shared is useless if you don't apply it. You could watch this video 10 times, take notes, share it with your friends, and still be in the exact same position a year from now. Or you could pick one framework, implement it this week, and start seeing results that compound over time. The choice is yours. But here's what I know. The gap between where you are and where you want to be isn't about information. It's about implementation. Elite thinkers aren't special. They just do the boring work of thinking strategically when everyone else is thinking reactively. They play the long game when everyone else is chasing quick wins. They build systems when everyone else is looking for hacks. And if you're willing to adopt even 3 of these 7 frameworks, you'll be operating at a level that most people will never reach. So here's my question for you. Which framework are you going to implement first? Drop it in the comments. Not for me, for you, because the act of writing it down increases your commitment by 300%. And if this video added value, you know what to do. Subscribe, hit the bell, and I'll see you in the next one where we're going to dive deep into framework number 2 and show you exactly how to build your information edge in any industry. Until then, think different, act strategic, and remember, the game is won in your mind before it's ever won in your bank account. I'm out.